Hello and welcome to our daily sketching routine. It is Saturday, August the 23rd, 2025, and today's topic I'm going to call character design and style. I'll be wrapping up this deep dive into character design, specifically for placing characters into scenes, so this is like the fourth video. But before we begin, welcome back if you're returning, and welcome if you're new to the channel. I sketch and post every day, and I use a timer to stay focused and to build a habit. I'll start a 10-minute timer. So I talked about placing characters into scenes, so I invite you to check out those other videos. I'll link them in the description. So there's a process to it, so that is a part of the style, by the way. I sketched this in one of the videos and then traced over it. In yesterday's video I did this. First it started as this thumbnail, and then I did a sketch off of that thumbnail. This is all from imagination, which is also part of the style. So I had this. Now I could have tried to detail that. It would look more sketchy, but since I traced over the sketch, I can have more of a finished line work, which is also part of the style, is like the look of it. Just real quick to kind of get warmed up here. So I did the same thing here. So this is part of the 4-week commitment to sketching, and I mentioned that 1 minute of sketching it counts, so I'll just sketch for about a minute. There could be like a hand right here. So notice I'm being a little bit more careful with it. Not quite as sketchy. You can also decide to go this route where you just fill in some of the shadows. So again, the process has something to do with that. So that's about a minute, and that does count as a daily sketch, by the way. This is kind of a scene. It's a character that's posed from imagination, starting from these thumbnails. Now, you can just sit down and just draw that, then go ahead and do that, I would say. If not, then you can come up with something. So that's why it's called character design, is because you could look up reference like person walking up steps or something like that. But first of all, you're probably not going to find this, and just kills enthusiasm in my opinion. Now, of course, you can find a picture and want to study it or sketch it or just, like have fun drawing it. So in this one, I'm just going to leave it kind of like that. The alternative could be right here, where instead of redrawing it, I could have maybe just stuck with this and just kept doing this, and it has like a different look to it. So then the question might be, well, how do you know which one to use? If I'm doing a comic, I'll probably go with this. It could be even cleaner than this. To me, like, that's my sketchy kind of style, so to speak. And then this is the more cleaned up line work. And also, if I were going to color it, I would do it like this. Part of style is, for example, like the medium. And in this case, pen and ink. Let's just call it that. So that is part of the style. Because no matter what I do, it's going to look kind of like this, even if like it's sketchy versus cleaner. So then that would be called rendering. So the way you render something is also part of the style. So, but also rendering is, so there's a lot of different things. So line, there's that, like how you render the line. But rendering is also values. So for example here, I didn't do all the shading that I did here. You can just leave it like that, and I mean, there's like a little bit of shading there, but that's like value. So here it's like saying the line is the dark value. That's where the form is turning away from the light, or like, being blocked or whatever from the light. And I'm just using the line as the shadow. The more you render something, the more realistic it looks. So an example is this drawing is sort of what started the series, so you'll notice the difference. So here's this like opened, and then this one is heavily rendered, but then the technique is also part of it. So then you have the technique itself. In that example, it's like cross-hatching. Here, there's no cross-hatching here. There's like a little bit of hatching, which I sort of made myself not go too far into it, just kind of leave it kind of open. I call it outlined is sort of what that is. It's just an outline or like a cartoon. So you have your medium. So you have pen and ink, but an example could also be paint. Rendering, it's the stuff like the lines, the values. So then if you're using like paint, there's still lines because it's lines is basically saying edge. I think the next thing is like the subject or like the genre. Depending on like the subject or the genre, I mean, you have things like fantasy or realism or like cartoon, anime, that's like a popular thing. That determines a lot of the like the shapes that you use and etc. So there's all sorts of genres, but it sort of determines like how it's drawn. I mean, if you draw a character that looks like a Disney character, I mean, you can mix and match. So sometimes you'll have kind of like in Sleeping Beauty where, because I like that cartoon, the backgrounds are pretty realistic, but like it's simplified, but they render it kind of realistically, but like cartoony also. The characters are animated, so they're simple. This will be kind of a good outline if you are kind of thinking about like style and how that works. Usually what happens is like beginners will focus on the style first because that's what you're seeing, or maybe that's what you like, but not really understanding where it comes from. So it looks kind of just surface, or it's like empty, like, because you have to think about like why it looks the way it looks, and there's a lot that goes into it. Part of it is the subject or genre. It could be a cartoon and it needs to be simple enough to animate, for example, but then there's also the rendering that goes into it. So if there's going to be a lot of color, like if I'm going to color something, I wouldn't crosshatch all that. Like if I'm going to color it, I'd keep it kind of like this, like more open. Part of it is like pen and ink. Like I'm not going to be able to paint with the pen. I'm just going to draw with it. But yeah, it's just some stuff to think about, and draw things and paint things, and you'll start to like have your own personal style. I mean, I like comics, I like cartoons, so it always kind of goes in that direction a little bit. I like character design, so there's a lot of drawing involved. Saturday of week 3 is complete of the 4-week commitment to sketching. I want to thank you for joining me today for our daily sketching routine, and if you enjoy these videos, please support the channel. I appreciate it, and until next time, keep on sketching.